the Yummy Brummie, the self-titled Prince of Birmingham, or just chef-owner of Purnell's. Michelin-star chef Glynn Purnell is as synonymous with the city as his beloved Birmingham City, or, whisper it quietly, Aston Villa. BigHospitality caught up with the media favourite at his eponymous eatery, 4 years after it gained its first star, and 7 years since he won the city's first ever accolade in the Michelin Guide. I asked whether he'd ever consider operating in London. Surely, I said, he must have had offers.
Yeah, I mean, I've been offered quite a few opportunities in London in the past, and you know, although they've been tempting, I love where I am. My children, we live just on the outskirts of Birmingham, but I was born and bred in a big council estate on Birmingham, so I've got the accent, which I can't get rid of. And you know, Birmingham has embraced me, and I've become almost like a bit of an ambassador, certainly for the leisure side. And I don't think I'd ever move. I don't think I'd ever move out of the city. I mean, sorry, I don't think I'd ever move out of Birmingham, but that's not saying that I wouldn't move to something on the outskirts of the city.
Do you get a bit annoyed that people? That is the first question people ask. Would you ever do something in London? Does that frustrate you?
It's flattering first, more so than frustration. So you're flattered that people think that your name is big enough to go down and compete with some of the culinary giants in the country. You know, the Ramsays, the Marcus Warings, and you know, all these sort of guys, and they're saying to you, you know, they're actually saying you could go and open in London. I mean, so frustration, no, but it gets a bit boring.
As well as Purnell's, Glynn also owns and runs Purnell's Bistro and the accompanying cocktail bar Ginger's. The venue was reopened and rebranded last September after operating as the Asquith for 2 years. So what were the real reasons behind the rebrand, and how is the business now faring?
The reason why I did it, and this is, you know, this is a reflection on the industry as well, and it's really frustrating. I've come up through the ranks as a chef from the age of 14 to I'm 37 now, and I've still got that same mentality. I still peel a tomato the same. I still open the door for customers. I still mop the floor. I still believe that hospitality is the most important thing about running a restaurant, and respect for the people you work with and work for. And the main reason why I shut the Asquith down was purely down to, one, I felt that the restaurant was going in the wrong direction, as in the style of food, and that was down to staff that could talk the talk but couldn't walk the walk. You know, young people that have worked for me in the past. Basically, the management thing went to their heads. They couldn't run the place properly. They didn't want to listen. They wanted to go off and do their own thing. And it just come to a point where I thought, enough's enough. It's losing money, as in because you're not producing the product that I'm asking you to produce. And it was just arrogance that made me think, right, okay, so the staff went, I brought in new staff, put a brand new sort of twist to it, brand new sort of feel to it, put it properly underneath the umbrella of Purnell's, and now it's thriving. It really is. It's exactly what people want. What they didn't want was a mini Purnell's. It was frustrating for me because I had belief in some of these people, but they, you know, young people just don't want to listen. And I think if I was going to give anybody advice in the hospitality industry and you're in your mid-20s, you haven't achieved anything yet. It's not until you get well into your 30s till you understand about hospitality and understand about running a restaurant and understand the customer. That's when you will truly be successful.
As well as stints on Saturday Kitchen and the upcoming Great British Menu, Purnell is also planning other media commitments which help fund the restaurant business. He's also hoping to move the main site from being a 1 to a 2-star venue. But are there any plans to launch new ventures?
At the current climate, I wouldn't rush into anything at the moment, because having 2 businesses and having nearly 50 odd staff to sort of pay and control and stuff, that financially is a strain on anybody. So maintaining that is the most important thing. I would never say no about opening another place. And if I did open another place, I certainly wouldn't be cooking there. So I mean, I've got a couple of options that have come in. I wouldn't mind a little patisserie maybe, or maybe somewhere with bedrooms, you know, so you eat at Purnell's and you go and stay at a small hotel that just does rooms and breakfast. There's lots of things like that I'd like to do. There's a couple of big buildings that have been taken over by hotels which have been approached by, so, you know, watch this space really. There's nothing been signed or anything, but there's definitely things that could happen.
The million-dollar question for many restaurateurs is how to gain a Michelin star, or how to move from 1 to 2 stars. Given his desire to improve on Purnell's rating, what changes does Glynn think need to be made?
I think change is not the word. I think slightly evolving, but being who you are. You know, not jumping from trend to trend, which I find quite annoying in the industry. 1 minute we're all cooking with liquid nitrogen, next minute everyone's out foraging for, you know, stuff. You know, all of a sudden it was like, you know, it's like the Newhall, because, you know, you've got to cook what you want to cook, listen to your customer, cook in the environment you're in, as in for where you're surrounded. So it's no good me putting forage stuff on there. I'm slap bang in the middle of the most industrial city in the country. I understand that. So I cook from my heart, and I cook from where I'm from. You know, I'm not from the windswept Scandinavian landscape. I'm not from there, so I wouldn't have a fucking clue anyway, to be honest with you. So I think from move to 1 to 2 is just to be a better you. Like I've said before, you know, if I go foraging in Birmingham, I'll find dog shit and crisp wrappers. I mean, that question's been answered lots of times. I think the trend, hopefully, the trend for next year is that people just look at themselves and cook their own style of food. Do you know what I mean? That's, for me, is a trend. And, you know, the great man himself said it, to be the fashion is not to be the fashion. That's what Pierre Gagne says. And he's there, 60 odd years, 3 stars. The guy's a genius. He doesn't start rummaging around Paris looking for foraging greens, does he?